my dear JSS2 students at home. I am greeting you this morning from our school, talking to you online. Hope you are well and you are safe. Last week, we discussed a topic on basic science, components of crude oil. We summarized by telling you, we started by telling you what crude oil is. That crude oil is getting from two Latin words, which means the word comes from petroleum. That I told you that petra means rock, oleum means oil. When the two Latin words are joined together, they give us petroleum, which means rock oil. I told us how the mineral is formed, that it is formed by the remains of dead plants and animals in the water. When the plants and animals in the water died, their remains accumulate in the rock bed or the seabed. After accumulation, as a result of high temperature and pressure, they metamorphose and change into rocks. And the type of rocks is a sedimentary rocks. I told you that crude oil is a sedimentary mineral. On further action of high temperature and heat, they also change to crude oil, which we mine. And I told you that initial stage, the raw material crude oil is useless. But when we subject them to high temperature and pressure in a furnace, that is what we call refining, many components begin to come out. I told you that there is nothing in crude oil that is a waste. Everything in crude oil has use or uses. And I told you because of how useful crude oil is, the white men called it black gold, since nothing in it is a waste. Then last week, we talked about the components of that crude oil. I told you that it is not a single mineral. It is composed of many hydrocarbons. Many hydrocarbons. And I told us that when crude oil undergo refining, under that process, it takes a method of separation called fractional distillation. Some of you, when you come up to senior class in chemistry, when you do separation technique, you will study it separately. It uses a separation technique called fractional distillation, where this petroleum or crude oil is heated. It now breaks up into different fractions. Last week we saw the fractions. I told you of the petrol gases. Is the first that came out when crude oil is subjected to heat in a furnace. I told you that these gases are liberated at the top of the column at a temperature below 40 degrees centigrade. And there are mainly hydrocarbons between 1 to 4 carbon atoms. I give you examples. Examples are methane, ethane, propane, butane. And I told you the uses of these guys that they're mainly used as fuel in homes and their industries. And in the manufacture of products like hydrogen, carbon dioxide, carbon sulfide. The petrol gases. I gave you an example of the one that we use stored in our cylinders we use in cooking at home. That one is an example of petrol gases. That is the gas we buy in cylinders which we use to cook at home. Some of those gases, some of them don't even go into refining. At the high temperature, even as the sun shines, they used to ooze out from the seabed where they are accumulated. Even in offshore, Under refining, especially the ones that accumulate in the land, the miners are telling Nigeria that what they lost is even greater than what they are gaining in crude oil. The one that escaped into the atmosphere is greater than the one Nigeria is trapping. As a result of that, we don't have reservoir which we will build to trap the one that are escaping when the sun shines. And what is escaping is greater than what Nigeria is exporting. So we now talk about the second fraction, petroleum ethers and regrowing. Talk about petroleum ethers and regrowing. We said that there are hydrocarbons between 5 to 7 carbon atoms. This type of petroleum fraction are mostly liquids. They are liquids, volatile liquids. I told you what we mean by volatile. If we say that a liquid is volatile, it means that it has a very low boiling and low melting point. I gave you an example like methanol and ethanol. They are volatile liquids. If you expose them to even ordinary low room temperature, they evaporate. That's why we call them volatile liquids. They easily evaporate. Just pour them within a few minutes, go to where they are poured, you will see them. If you have methanol, ethanol at home, just pour it. You see what happens. Within a few minutes, it has evaporated. So these are liquids. And their uses is mainly as organic solvents, especially people that dissolve paints. You use them as organic solvent. Solvent is what you put a solute in it. You dissolve it and form what? Solution, if you are a science student. So since they are organic liquids, they are mostly used as organic solvents. You use it to dissolve some material that cannot dissolve in water. There are many substances that cannot dissolve in water. If you put them in water, they will be floating. But put them in organic solvent, they will dissolve. Then we talk of petrol or gasoline. Petrol or gasoline. I said that they consist of 4 to 12 carbon atoms per molecule. They are also volatile liquids with low boiling and low melting points. And the temperature of their refining or distillation is from 40 to 200 degrees centigrade. And they are used as fuels. Fuel for aeroplane, fuel for motor vehicle. They are also good solvents. They are also used as organic solvents too. For paints and grease too. You want to dissolve paints and grease, you dissolve them in petrol. That is the one we use in driving our motor cars, motorcycles, even some plants or engines in our houses. And I said that they are used mostly as fuels at home and the industry in drivings, our aeroplane, our motor vehicle, and some engine. Then we talk about the next fraction, kerosene. Kerosene also is a liquid, but it is not a volatile liquid like petrol and ether. It's a liquid that it distills over a temperature between 200 and 250 degrees centigrade. And I said that this one is also used as fuel also for lightening and then heating. Lightening and heating. And for driving tractors and some modern jet engines. Yes, tractors is the one that I know that uses kerosene. I have one tractor in our school, in the university. That is when I know that that tractor is being driven by kerosene. So tractors uses kerosene as fuels. Likewise on modern jet engines. It is also used as what? A good solvent for dissolving even grease and paints too. That is where we stopped last week, and we're going to talk about the remaining 3 fractions: gas oil and diesel oil, lubricating oil, bitumen, and other residue. So we quickly talk about this remaining 3 fractions. the fifth one, which we talk about gas oil and diesel oil. Gas oil and diesel oil. I said that this mixture of hydrocarbon contains from 12 to 25 carbon atom per molecule. That is why they normally smokes. If you pour them in jetting, the smokes. Because as carbon atom increases, they become saturated. So these people, they distills over in a fraction at a temperature. You see that their temperature, as carbon atom is increasing, their temperature of refining also increases. So they increase the temperature of 250 degrees centigrade to 350 degrees centigrade. This is the temperature of their refining in their fraction. They are used mainly as fuels for heating and diesel engines. Used as fuels for heating. You know that there are some cars that make use of diesel. They don't use petrol. All these heavy trucks and lorries, what drives their engine is diesel oil, not petrol. So they're used for heating and diesel. And raw material for cracking process. Let me throw a little light on this cracking for you since you are in SS2. There is what we call cracking in crude oil. It means trying to make crude oil have a high quality. That is the one that doesn't smoke much. That is why Americans and Britons that buy crude oil in Nigeria refer to buy raw crude. So that when they carry the raw crude to their place, they will now send it to refining and get a lighter crude. Most of Nigeria refining crude oil smokes. They are heavy hydrocarbon made up of long chains of hydrocarbon. So this cracking process is just a method of refining crude oil so that you have a higher quality that doesn't knock in the engine. That's what we call knocking in engine or vehicle. That knocking is caused by using crude oils that are heavy. Most of them smokes a lot. That is why if you come to Nigeria, you see many pollution coming from exhaust pipes of many vehicles. Because most of the diesel oil they use are heavy chains hydrocarbon. So this one, cracking process, just making petrol to have a high quality. High quality means that it doesn't smoke, it is light in the engine, especially it has less smokes. If it smokes, it will be little. That's what we call cracking process. So this diesel is also used in cracking process. Then let's look at the second one, the sixth one, that is remaining, lubricating oil. All of you know what lubricating oil is. the one that we use as lubricants. Lubricating oils. And these are heavy oils. They consist of hydrocarbon with more than 25 carbon atoms. Contains more than 25 carbon atoms. Maybe from 25 up to 70. A molecule. This of hydrocarbon with more than 25 carbon atoms per molecule, and the temperature of distillation is 350 to 500. Temperature of distillation is 350 degrees centigrade to 500 degrees centigrade. This is the temperature that separates out. They separate out at this temperature when you heat petroleum up to 350 to 500. Lubricating oil begins to come out. There are viscous liquids used for lubricating moving parts. They are used as lubricants. Used nicely as lubricants or as lubricating oil, moving parts of our machineries and our engines. So let's finally talk about the bitumen and other residues. Bitumen and other residues. Bitumen and other residues. So bitumen are solids, residues. You see that others are gases and liquids, but this one is a solid. That is, as carbon atom increases, their states begin to differ. You see that they started from gases to liquids, liquids to viscous liquids to now solids. So bitumen are solids. Left behind, they are solids. Left behind, not liquids, not gases. They are solids left behind at a temperature above 500 degrees centigrade. Bitumen is also called pitch. Bitumen is also called pitch. Some of you that you did CRS in the birth of Moses, we are told that Moses' basket is covered with bitumen and pitch. So when you read the Bible at times, I have to explain this bitumen for you so that when you read that place, you know what it is. It's just a fraction of crude oil. After making a basket, you know that a basket, if you put it in a river, water will enter and sink. But this woman is wise. We used to get bitumen and cover it well in that basket before I now lay the baby inside it so that no water will enter into it. So bitumen is a fraction of crude oil. It's also called pitch. And what is it used for? It is used for surfacing roads and airfields. Road surfacing. If you have gone to where engineers build roads, you see what they poured on the road. that black, something they poured on the road, and we begin to add the black solid ones on top of it. Yes, it's what we call the bitumen used in road surfacing. Road surfacing, that is what they use the bitumen to do, and airfields. If you have been to airports, what they use to build the airport is the bitumen. Then we have other residues. These other residues, I want to leave it until I talk about petrochemicals. So let me talk about other residues when I talk about petrochemicals. Petrochemicals are the residues gotten after bitumen. Some of them are used in making paints, some are used in making fertilizer, some are used in making insecticides, some are used in making plastics, polymers, and nylon. So it's a very, other residues are very many. I don't want to talk about it now. Let me talk about it the time I'll talk about petrochemicals, so that you see what petrochemicals are and their uses too, so that you will believe with me that there is nothing in crude oil that is a waste. Some of them also find their way used in making pens, some are used in making plastic shears, even pipes that we use in our plumbing work. All these are products of petrochemicals. Some are even used in roofers, making roofing sheets. I will talk about it when we talk about petrochemicals. Petrochemicals are also a large topic on this one. So let's now stop at bitumen. So bitumen is used in making the road surface. So you can believe with me that there is nothing that is a waste in crude oil. Thank you for paying attention. I know you enjoyed my class today. God bless you. May you stay safe.